MUSTAPHA TV. Innovative content, global audience.
All right, people, you're welcome to yet another exciting edition of a town hall meeting with Daddy Chris, all the way from London, United Kingdom. As usual, this is the show where we introduce the best of the best in Nigeria. We don't just introduce politicians, we introduce the brains, the people, the key people that makes Nigerian politics, that are moving us to the next level. That's the best way I like to put it. On tonight's show, I have a very special guest. He's not new in the media. You guys know him. He'll be joining us to actually throw some light on some of the things that you may be wondering, what is going on in Nigeria? How come this? What are the youth doing? What is Peter Obi talking about? He's here tonight to actually run us through all that. Yeah, it's always a pleasure to have Chris, because he's one of those, I don't know whether to call him an activist. I don't know I don't know the right word to qualify Chris. It's right there on the screen. I don't know whether to call him an activist or to call him a guru. All I said, when I said him on my phone, I said a political guru, but that is too little. He does more than that. So tonight, it's a pleasure to be joined on the studio by the one and only Professor Chris MUSTAPHA NWAOKOBIA Jr. Professor, you're welcome to the platform.
It's my pleasure to be on with you, Daddy Chris. It's been a long time. How are you doing?
I'm good. You're welcome. You're welcome, sir. We almost lost a few minutes in the show, but you're always there to fill it up. I'm sure I'm going to have it done. All right. Prof, I want us to get on straight to the business of tonight, which is the Nigerian politics. 2023 is around the corner. We are wondering, what is going on? Where are we? If you don't mind, tell us. I know you might have one or two interests, but tell us in general what you think is going on in Nigeria. What is it? We in the diaspora want to know. The people in Nigeria want to know.
Let me start with saying that God has particular interest in what affects and obtains here in Nigeria, what affects Nigeria and what obtains here in Nigeria. And interestingly, if we were to go back a bit into history, we would be able to locate where we are. You know, historically, we got our independence in 1960, and just 3 years after, we became a republic. And since 1963, the number 3 has always come strong in our national trajectory, in our national evolution. And interestingly, what is the last phenomenal point in our history where we had something that looks like what we're having today was in 1993 when Chief M.K. Abiola led a campaign. It was Hope 93. And Daddy Chris, if you will take note, 30 years after that, yes, we're here at a point in history where it's apparently a watershed. 30 years after the Hope 93, Nigerians are in unison calling for a new republic, a new tendency, and a new day. Nigerians in unison are saying that they want to be governed differently. They're saying that they want things to change for the better. And I'm sure that that is why Nigerians in the diaspora are more than ever before heavily, mark my use of word, heavily interested in what obtains at home, heavily interested in our politics, heavily concerned about who governs us, heavily passionate about what will happen come February 2023, and by extension, May 29th, 2023. So at home, it's all politics. We have 4 major contestants and contenders to the high office of president. We have, for the ruling party, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. We have, for the leading opposition party, the PDP, we have Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, and we have the man who sits pretty on the number 3, Peter Gregory Obi, the presidential candidate of the Labour Party. And then we have the man who, I'm talking in terms of the four major parties, but I'll come back to who is the most popular. We have Kwakwanso, Rabiu Kwakwanso. And then as I talk to you, clearly we have, if I may inform you, we've had about 6 to 7 polls regarding who is most likely to become the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria come 2023. And the poll by ANAP and NOI puts 5 of them puts Peter Gregory ahead of the others. And the one by the These Day newspapers, they called it a projection. They didn't actually say it was a poll. A projection of who's likely to win, put Atiku Abubakar ahead. And then there was another one that came with a caveat that if Bola Ahmed Tinubu were to win, obedience are very unlikely to accept that. So we've had about 7 polls, and the preponderant number of interest and polls puts Peter Gregory ahead of others. But what is important to note is that we have a sweltering harmattan of this content. We have a sweltering harmattan of popular disapproval, if you like, of the old order. And that is why the candidacy of Peter Gregory resonates amongst the Nigerian people, old and young. Nigerians are saying that they want a new tendency in leadership. Nigerians are saying that they want a new order in governance. Nigerians are saying that they want a new day.
Wow. Anyway, what an interesting way to put this. Yeah. So there is you would say, are you going to call this a revolution? Is this is it a call for a change? What kind of change are we seeing here? Because Peter, we know Peter used to be was on the ticket with Atiku a few times in the last election, and now he's on his own in a new party that's not so popular, really, the Labour Party. And today we're here, and it's a new movement. What's going on?
No, you've summed it up, Dr. Chris. What we have, I've couched the words, and it's resonating. It's like a wildfire here at home. It's a peaceful, ballot-based people's revolution. Wonderful. It's a revolution of sorts. It is not necessarily about Peter Gregory. It's about the Nigerian people wanting to take back their country. That's why you have that cliche, take back our country. And the Nigerian people, I keep telling people that the obedient movement is over and above partisanship. The obedient movement in Nigeria is about a generation of people who are saying that things can be done differently and things must be done differently. And so Peter Gregory is just the beneficiary of a massive movement, a massive momentum for a new day and a new deal. That's actually what it is. For those who are partisans and who are unable to understand that reality, I say, as events unfold, they will come to terms with that reality. It is, and that is why Peter Obi had said at one of the forums recently, he said that he's not necessarily the one running for president, that Nigerian people at once running for president through him. And that's the truth, you know, because I just left a forum where we had an interaction with Nigerian youths. It was a massive one. It was a monumental one. And he was there. He stood for most of the session. It was about almost a 5-hour session. He stood for most of the session. He took the questions from just about everybody. And I tell you, the Nigerian youths understand the energy. And he does also understand the fact that it's more like the old proverbial saying, who shall I send? Who will go for us? And it's simply about Peter Obi saying, here am I, send me. That's actually what it is. It's not necessarily about the PDP or the APC. It's about the Nigerian people being desirous, not only to take back their country, but to make the country effective, prosperous, and great again.
That is nice you talk about the movement, about the youth, because some few years ago, 2020, we experienced, is it 2020? Yeah, we have this massive youth movement. They came out, we call it, it's very close to our hearts. We saw what happened in Nigeria. Young people came out for a peaceful revolution, a peaceful protest, and it became a riot because there was exchange of bullets and young people were killed. Is this anything get to do with that? Are those bays energized with Peter Obi? Are they part of this thing at all in any way? Because it might not be directly. Are they there? Because it's so happening. Yeah. Because within me, I was saying to you, well, why don't you organize? Rather than going on the street, now it's time to organize. And now, are they behind Peter Obi? Are they behind Atiku? Where are they?
Interestingly, that Chris, the large number of the obedience across our country were young boys and young girls who were sympathetic of and part of the NSAS protestation that happened in 2020. A lot of them are saying that they want a CEO that they can trust. They want a CEO who has sympathy, empathy, and compassion. They want a CEO who belongs to them. And let me say why the candidacy of Peter Gregory resonates. The young lady who, along with several other people who organized today's events, were those who were at the Lekki tailgate and they saw the drastic and horrendous actions of state agents against young, harmless Nigerians. They are saying that they want a new country where leadership is responsible and responsive to the people. They are saying that they want a new order where the rule of law does not bend before the big man and stand strong and straight up before the poor man. They want everybody to be equal before the law. They want a nation where citizenship rights are generally as of right. So what they are saying actually is that they want a government that works for them and works for all Nigerians. So I believe that clearly, even those who are in the other parties have admitted that quite a lot, if you like, about 80% of those who were part of the NSAS protestations sympathize with the candidacy of Peter Gregory. And then beyond that, our mothers and fathers who perhaps were victims, who lost loved ones in that protestation, are with us. And every right-thinking Nigerian who believes that the rule of law must be given a sense of pride and primacy in our country is with us. And then I said to Nigerians, both at home in diaspora and in diaspora, that one of the greatest excitements of this campaign is the fact that even those who otherwise were watching our politics, mouths agape, hands akimbo, those who were not interested are coming on board and they're saying, we want a nation that works. Are you aware that a few days ago, as strange as it was, Miyetti Allah and Fulani young people came out to endorse the candidacy of Peter Gregory? Are you aware that quite a lot of people, El Zakzaki, the Shiite leader, endorsed the candidacy of Peter Gregory? And the reasons are simple, Daddy Chris. The reason is because hunger is indiscriminate of religion. Poverty does not know ethnicity.
Yes.
Poverty is the same thing to the Igbo man as it is to the Yoruba man. Poverty is the same thing to the Hausa man as it is to the Yoruba man.
And
it is the same thing to the Jukun man as it is to the Igbo man. So fundamentally, Nigerians in unison are saying that they want a new deal.
In fact, that's what I'm asking. What is this? What is special about this movement? Where is this coming from? Is it coming from hunger? Is it coming from what do you think is galvanizing this massive movement? That's in fact, what do you think is responsible, sir?
It's a function first. Is a function first of the universe. Every so often, the universe comes out to redeem that which belongs to it. I'll give you a practical instance. It took, in the United States of America, it took almost 200 years before women could vote in America. But a black preacher from Atlanta, Georgia, came up talking about black rights and female rights. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Where would you?
We came out talking about black rights and female rights. As you and I talked, that decrease fundamentally, we're at that point in history where Nigerians are saying that things must not continue the same old way. Remember, it was the Jewish scientist who said that attempting to solve a problem the same way it was created is insanity. And I'm talking about Albert Einstein. And so we're at that point in history where Nigerians have woken up to the urgency of now, and they're saying that things must be done differently. And interestingly, the chief beneficiary, that's the way I tell him, when I sit beside him, when I see Peter Gregory, I tell him, well, I envy you because you're the chief beneficiary of a moment in time.
Yes.
When Nigerians are saying that things must be different, that moment when Nigerians are saying that things must work, that moment when Nigerians are saying that we are not going to continue a profligate nation, a wasteful nation, that we must make things work for everyone. We must try and get our nation back on track. That's the moment where we have found ourselves. And so it's a revolutionary movement, pioneered, engineered, and propelled by the Nigerian people.
It cannot be better, because there's something from those of us in diaspora. Our problem has been the Nigerian state, the structure of the Nigerian state, where everybody just go to Abuja to take some handouts and they go home, share the money, and come back to Abuja. And Peter said something, and that is the most interesting thing I've ever heard from a Nigerian politician, that we're going to move from revenue allocation to production allocation. I don't know what was that, because I was excited. I don't know whether you could tell us how is this production allocation going to be, because it will be quite interesting to move from the traditional, where all of them go to Abuja waiting for handouts, because that's what it is. They go and spend and they come back next month, the money is waiting for them.
Indeed, today, whilst we were talking with the young people at a very interactive function, he did say that before now, all we had in this country were a system where politicians gather, like you noted, to share and appropriate for themselves and their children's children our collective patrimony, and then leave the leftovers for a few contracts and infrastructural work. But here, we are said in no uncertain terms that what we have on our hands is a quest to return our country to production over consumption, to return our country to productive revenue growth rather than consumptive. He has said in no uncertain terms that he will cut down the cost of governance and ensure that Nigeria's people's monies are spent in making the country great again. And I tell you, Daddy Chris, that we are grateful to God for a moment as this.
Yes.
The challenge is for Nigerians to understand that things must work, and Nigerians must appreciate that this is a new time and a new moment in our national story and trajectory. And I say this without equivocation, that Nigerians in diaspora are amazingly supportive and supporting in no uncertain way this massive revolutionary effort. And then interestingly also, I salute every Nigerian in the diaspora who has contributed materially, who has contributed morally, who has contributed psychologically to this great moment in our national evolution. Importantly, Daddy Chris,
yes,
when he did explain what he wants to do, he did say that agriculture will be not necessarily for subsistence.
Yes.
Agriculture will be for growth and income. He will ensure that the Nigerian farmer lives like other farmers in greater climes. Because interestingly, this is the most endowed nation in the world. We have the best mineral resources in one space. We have the best soil for growth. And so he's saying that this country has no reason whatsoever to be poor.
Human resources. Human resources.
Let me surprise you, Daddy Chris.
Yes.
When you talk about human resources in the United Kingdom where you live,
yes,
the Immaculate family in Nigerian families are judged to be about the most intelligent family in the United Kingdom. As I talk to you, Daddy Chris, the most intelligent, the most educated, the most literate immigrant community in the United States of America is the Nigerian community, not even the Jewish community or the Hispanics. As I talk to you, the father of modern technology, the man who developed the supercomputer is a Nigerian, Philip Emeagwali. As I speak to you, Daddy Chris, interestingly, the father of modern mathematics, Gabriel Oyibo, is from the Confluence state of Kogi. As I talk to you, the young man who designed the Chevrolet is from Kano State. We are a nation endowed by God with amazing resources, both human and material, and which is ineffable. That is exactly why we connect with the candidacy of Peter Gregory Obi. That is exactly why we're saying that the revolution that has begun should be sustained by the Nigerian people. That's exactly why doing what we're doing is a matter of destiny and fate. I said to you without equivocation, my dear brother, that we are committed to seeing this through. We're committed to ensuring that this peaceful ballot-based revolution does not falter. We're committed to ensuring that the Nigerian people, old and young, votes in Peter Gregory Obi as the president of this country come February the 25th, 2023.
You see, I think, like you said, this might be divine because two things working here. Look at the personality of Peter Obi, his integrity speaking for himself here. The man was a one-time governor, and what surprised me was when he talks about where all these modern governors, where they are actually committing most of the crime against humanity. The language called security vote. Peter was analyzing, telling us how he spent his security votes. Like he said, what is he doing with $1 billion, you know how much, sir? $1 billion in security votes to governors. I mean, we're talking about the federal unit. The states are also a problem. And that brings me to the next question. How is Peter going to checkmate the activities of state governor? Because everything cannot happen at the top. How is he going to address that? Because that is one of the major things. He understood that when he was a governor, and he saw how much money that will come to each of the states, and they're still coming, but the state governor are doing nothing with it. So even if Peter is doing a great job at the federal level, how is he going to trickle down to the states and even the local governments?
In his manifesto, he did talk about the need for a rework of our legal framework as a nation. He did talk about how we must ensure that we do not only diversify resources, but ensure that we make every component part of the Nigerian Federation resourceful, creative, and accountable to the people. He's talking about how we can make Nigeria work in tandem with the fourth industrial revolution. And you cannot do that without ensuring that you restructure largely how the Nigerian state operates. Let me tell you, Daddy Chris, that as you and I talk, one of the greatest challenges that the Nigerian nation has is a fraudulent framework. And what am I trying to say? You have a system that does not help for creativity. You have a system that encourages laziness. State governors come to Abuja at the end of every month to receive allocation. They call it FAC.
Yeah.
Every month they have an alibi. They tell their people lies about what amount was released and what was not released. So we live in a nation where largely resources are frittered away. We live in a nation where political office holders are involved in horrendous larceny. They steal and loot. And like you noted, governance seems to be absent at the local government and the state level. But what Peter Gregory has said we will do is to ensure that every component part of our country is made responsible, accountable, and responsive to the people. And what are we going to do? We're going to ensure, he did say that, like the North, for instance, will be the new oil of this country on account of its arable soil. He did talk about investment in the human capital, the human mind, which is technological growth. And what he's simply saying is that at every level of the Nigerian state, leadership will not only be responsible and responsive, but people will see. Let me give you an instance. Oloibori is a tragic spectacle in our nation. The area that produced our first commercial quantity of crude oil, and it's for long, is wasted and is empty. And then you have areas in Ogoniland and across Delta State and the Niger Delta space where the exploration and exploitation of oil has left our flora and our fauna in trouble. And then you ask yourself, how has oil wealth really helped this country? So there is going to be a legal framework where those who explore and exploit our natural resources will be accountable to the people, where the local governments are part of the institution of governance and the state governments are part of the institution of governance. As you and I talk, save and except there is a wholesale and full-scale restructuring of the Nigerian enterprise, we may not be able to have or grow responsible and responsive local government chairmen. We may not be able to grow responsible and responsive governors. So we need to rework our legal framework, and that's what Peter Gregory Obi has said in his manifesto. And you know what? Nigerians believe him. That is why this whole movement resonates. Nigerians are looking at a man who, like you noted, whilst he was the governor of Anambra State, he did not only do his best to make Anambra better, he left in the coffers of the state about 75 billion naira.
Yes.
Not one pensioner was left unpaid. Not one contractor who finished his contract was left unpaid. And even the governor who succeeded him said that he built the airport in Anambra from the monies Peter Obi saved. And then interestingly, let me say to you and to Nigerians who are listening, that Peter Obi is about the only governor in this country who's not drawing pensions on or any emolument from the state he governed. Today he made it look so simplistic, but it was deep. He said that since he left Anambra as governor in 2014, Anambra has not bought him one bottle of water. But you have candidates who are running against him who draw well over 3 billion naira every month, every year from Lagos State, for instance. You have governors who draw humongous revenues in the name of pensions and emoluments from the states they govern. So Nigerians can trust this candidate. Nigerians understand that this candidate is about service to the people, not about egocentricity, not about selfishness, and not about conceit.
Thank you, sir. For those of you just watching, I am live on the platform tonight on this town hall meeting with Professor Chris MUSTAPHA NWAOKOBIA. If you don't know him, you know him now. He's not somebody you don't know. I cannot call him an activist, and I don't even know how to call him anymore. He's there's no word to qualify Chris, and you're going to see. You guys can hear what he has been saying. For those of you that have questions, there will be room for you to throw your questions. I can see some questions on the platform already. You can either call on the number, which is +44 7459 071747, or you can quickly put your question and I'll put it across to him. For those of you who have the link, you can join, and I'll be connecting with the WhatsApp group. Hey guys, just be patient. You have a chance to talk with Chris shortly. But let me just rub shoulders with him a little bit. Let me rub minds with him, because there's one important thing that concerns me, which is security, sir. Now, the security, Nigeria can be called a failed state because of one thing alone: our security challenges. Last time I visited, I was scared to move from one place to the other. In fact, the story is here and there. If Buhari, an ex-military man, cannot identify and solve that problem, how is Peter going to do this?
Let me make you laugh, Daddy Chris. We have had to talk with some serving generals, some high-placed police officers, and they have said in no uncertain terms that dealing with issue of terror is one of the easiest things. But what you need is a predictable CEO, a predictable commander-in-chief. And we tried to find out what they mean. And they said that there have been instances where they descended heavily on bandits, on terrorists, on vandals and villains, and they get a slap for doing so. They get reprimanded. They get lampooned for doing so. And so they almost always do not know how to attend to some of these challenges. So they just try to apply a bit of a carrot and a stick. And that when they have a CEO, a CNC, a commander-in-chief, who they can predict, who will give them maximum support to get the job done, they will get the job done. And then some other elements have also said that one of the greatest challenge that we have as a people is that of poverty, joblessness, and so many of our young people are idle. And remember that Peter Gregory has said that the battle against insurgency, against insecurity, must be fought from all sides. That Nigerian young people, when they are gainfully employed, when they are gainfully involved in the processes of creating wealth, they will find nothing about terror, nothing about insurgency as attractive. They will not find, they will not be found there. Because, you know, it was Holmes, one of the foremost American criminologists, who said that the society prepares the crime, the criminal commits it. So,
yes, I agree.
So we're challenged with a dysfunctional system that has left a lot of young people who perhaps do not have the strength to resist hunger and poverty, resorting to violence, banditry, and brigandage. You wonder. Go on.
Yeah, go on, sir. I like that. So that the society prepares the crime, the criminals commits it, right? What
That's right.
Yes,
I
like that.
Imagine if the society, the preponderant number of our young people were gainfully employed. Who will be in Sambisa forest? Who will be in the forest of Zamfara? Who will be killing people everywhere? You know, the point is that life has become so cheap because hunger is prevalent, because joblessness is prevalent, because illiteracy has become the order of the day. So when these challenges are attended by a responsible and a responsive government, what we'll have is a drastic reduction in crime. And then when we have a CNC who is committed to not only improving on the IQ and the knack of our security men, but in providing them with a living wage, not the kind of wages that they have today that cannot take them home.
I was going to talk about that.
So when they have a living wage, naturally their patriotism will snowball. When they have a living wage, they will do better in protecting you and I. And then when you have young people who are gainfully employed or who are trained to engage themselves in good businesses, you will have a major reduction in crime. So what we have today, like Holmes would say, is a situation where the society has prepared so much crime and criminality, and the young boys and young girls who are unemployed are engaged in that venture.
Exactly. So this is quite interesting because and that brings us to the system. And I can see a young man there is very worried. I don't know where's the lady. Otutu said, let me ask a question. And that's the same question I wanted to ask. Say, how can you turn a country into a production country when there is no means of identification? That is something like the system. And another thing is, and you wish you talk about, so I want you to look at, so I'm going to let the question come in now. They won't let me ask questions what I like the name. So, sir, another thing I want to say is, Nigeria, if you agree with me, with the how do you say, they said they're fighting to pay 30,000 naira minimum wage. That is slavery. That is slavery. Because in the United Kingdom where we live, for instance, the only difference between my salary, who might be a cleaner, and that of the manager would be very, very minimal. So there is dignity in labor. But the case is, it's not the same. in Nigeria. Those of us that came to Europe the first time, we were able to build our first home in Nigeria with job from cleaning, meaning there is dignity in labor. But in Nigeria, oh God, why some senators, governors have 2 billion security votes, we can't even pay the policeman 50,000 naira, and you give him a gun. Like you said, the society prepares that crime. Then the question is, with these momentum challenges, the excitement of Peter Obi coming, are you not sorry for him? Why is he going to handle a society that doesn't have an identity, like this young person said, and that the gap between the rich and the poor is completely unacceptable? I've never seen it anywhere in the world.
Let me attempt that question by first of all quoting Peter Gregory Obi today at the town hall with Nigerian youths. He said clearly that a man who thinks that he knows everything is an idiot. A man who thinks that he does not have to learn how to fix the challenges is an idiot. And I say without equivocation that we have an incoming CNC who believes that the first thing he must do is to assemble the best minds, learn, interact with them, and address the issues piecemeal. He said clearly that he cannot solve the problems alone, that he needs the Nigerian people to solve, because it's a behemoth. The problem is a behemoth. The problem is a leviathan. It's amazingly terrifying. But you know what? In identifying the way forward, if you look at the manifesto of Peter Gregory Obi and the Labour Party, the 72-point page manifesto, you see that he has not only studied the problems, but he is preferring solution, believing that together with the best minds in this country and the best minds in the diaspora, we can attempt these issues. Now, regarding the structure, you talked about the question that somebody asked about how you move from consumption to production without having the figures. Interestingly, we're not throwing away all that this present administration had done, because in some areas they've been able to give us statistics and figures, data. You know, the NIM, you know, several. So we're able to make, we're able to make some kind of estimation of who we are, the number of people we have, the number of adults above 18 and all that. And then we're able to combine that with other data, the INEC data and all that. So we have a rough estimate of those who are in poverty line, those who are above poverty line, those who are jobless and all that. But what he has said is that our problems are not insurmountable because we have extreme eggheads, very brilliant Nigerians across the world who have programs and programmatics that will help us solve those problems. And then let me give you an interesting scenario. I was telling somebody today that when people talk about how wealthy this country can be, they don't understand it. A few years ago, when I went with my younger brother to take his wife from the Edo State, we drove through the Ekpoma axis. And once we were driving through, I found out that even on tarred roads, you had green grass. Even on tarred roads,
green grass.
You had green grass. And I said to myself, and the guys who were with me in the car, I said, do you know how overwhelmingly God has blessed this country? The road is tarred, but half of the road had been taken by green grass. And that if we were to have a responsible and responsive leadership, we'll be able to feed not only West Africa, but about the whole of Africa, because this is a nation blessed by God. Obafemi Awolowo once said that the God who has blessed Nigeria must have been so deeply in love with this country that he didn't care about being called a biased God. That he has blessed this country with amazing resources and riches ineffable. All that this country, like Chinua Achebe noted, needs is a responsible and responsive leader. And that's what we have coming on our space, on our stage. He's not saying that I'm Mr. Know-it-all. He's saying that along with the best minds in this country, he's already identifying them. that we can take our country away from the nada to promise. We can take our country away from the drowning discord of poverty and inanity to the amazing place of riches and grace. And he's doing that. You know that interestingly, he hasn't even come to power, but a lot is changing. You remember when the issue about oil theft came to the fore? It was after Peter Gregory had said somewhere that oil theft is not like sweets that you walk into a grocery shop or supermarket and steal and put in your pocket.
No.
That oil theft is a major larceny that you have government officials involved in it and you have the big man involved in it. And not a few days after.
Yeah. You
heard about
a ship out of a country, a shipload of a goods out of a country, and you say you don't know about it, and the government is not aware. What would do with the customs?
It takes about 12 days to load a super tanker.
Okay.
And people will come into this country with a super tanker, load it for 12 days, and government would say that they don't know how the oil was stolen. That's the height of deceit and debauchery. And what he's saying is that this era of horrendous debauchery, larceny, and thieving will be gone when he becomes the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And that is the case, I believe him.
Yes, I do. I am forced to believe him as well, to be honest. And we in the diaspora were excited, to be honest. 90% of people in the diaspora, of course, you have some people who want to be biased, who want to follow the traditional way of doing things. Good luck. But 90% of Nigerian diaspora, I'm sure I can speak for them. They are with Peter Obi. But our major challenge is simple things that we are aware of in the UK, for instance, in America, where the gap between the rich and the poor, if it stays as it is, crime is a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like you said, the society has prepared the crime, the young people are only committing it. So, and that is where another thing which this young man is really hitting us with here is the issue of identification. I remember I stayed in Belgium. If the police stop you and you don't have an identity, they put their hand there. Oh God, what you would have done that they won't know. You see, as long as they know you, they have your thumbprint, and then you're cool. They know anything you do, they know where to find you. But if you don't have an address, you don't have an identity, like you see in Nigeria, you don't even know people living in the area. And that's why, how can that kind of society function? How can people move forward? If the police here don't know where I live, then they have a problem. All they care is what's your name, your identity, will have your thumbprint, and they know where you are. So if there's any crime, they will find out, they will trust you. But that is not the case in Nigeria. And that is on one side. So in terms of security, I think a lot of experts, like you said, Peter might want to consult all these experts to help come in, and I'm sure a lot of Nigerians. But before I quickly go on, sir, I am going to bring in one. He's been here on the platform. Solomon, are you there? I'm going to give you a chance to ask, to throw in some light on what to ask Professor a question. I want some light mind, some strong mind to throw the first question in. Solomon, are you there, sir? Are you there, sir? Hello?
Hello, can you hear me, gentlemen?
Yes, we can hear you live, direct.
Prof is listening. Very good.
Yes, Rufus, Brendo, how are you? God bless you. I want to thank Prof for coming into this program. Prof, you are welcome. You have spoken so eloquently. But I have just two questions to ask you. I wonder if you'll be kind enough to tell us more about yourself, because the only thing we know about you for now is that you are Prof. Chris MUSTAPHA NWAOKOBIA. Two of your names are very suggestive of affiliation of the North and South. The other one, Chris, suggests Christianity, while the other one also suggests that you were either in the university or you are still teaching. Could you do this for us very quickly without adumbration, please? Thank you.
Interestingly, I was born a Christian. I was born in Delta State. Mustafa became part of my name. I'll make it very brief. The details of that name and how Mustafa became part of my name are online. Mustafa became part of my name when I was detained by President Obasanjo in 2002, 2003. And whilst in detention, my son was just about 3 months old when I was taken into detention. And whilst in detention, I wanted someone to reach out to my family to tell them that I was okay, because it was a DSS facility. And I tried. Hello? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah.
Well, so
Where would you?
I talked to a Christian DSS boy who was called by the name Daniel, and he said it was against service rules to do what I wanted him to do. And then, well, I was melancholic that evening, and then a certain Muslim brother came over in the evening, and I told him what my challenge was, that I wanted, because I was concerned whether my wife was lactating and if she could breastfeed. My son was just about 3 months. So I told him what my challenge was, and I told him that I wanted him to reach out to my wife to tell her that I was okay in custody. And he said, okay, he will think about it. The next day he came, and somehow I was able to talk to my wife, talk to my dad, may God bless his soul. And how he did that, you can make your conjectures. But I asked him why he was doing that against the rules of service. And he said that at night, when he was sleeping, he had a voice that it was Prophet Muhammad, peace be unto him, who gave him instructions to attend to the man who was in custody and do for him whatever he wanted. And that the meaning of the name Mustafa is sent by Allah, that the guy in custody belongs to him and was sent by Allah. And I couldn't understand why a Muslim could go that far. Now get it clearly. And then he asked me after all that if I was going to take the name. And I said, if you could do this for me, there's no reason whatsoever why I wouldn't take the name. I believe that we're all children of one God. You know, but after I came out of custody, I tell people that my religion changed. I'm neither Christian nor Muslim. My religion is love. And about a few years after, so you got it clear, because some people say, oh, he took the name because he wanted to get political mileage. I did not only run for presidency 8 years after. It took 8 years. So I couldn't have been a Nostradamus to know that, okay, in 8 years' time, I want to run for presidency, so I could adopt the Mustafa name. Mustafa name is part of my international passport, is in my bank document, is in everything I have, you know, so it's part of my name. I believe that we're children of one God. I believe the Muslims, Christians, Jews, like the Holy Quran would say, are part of one God. The Bible says all of us were created by God. So my religion is love. The names are part of my true identity, because interestingly, Christopher means the cross bearer, like the Messiah. And Mustafa means just about the same thing, sent by Allah. So that's exactly who I am. I ran for president in 2011. I was the youngest to have done that in the democratic order since 1999. And it became the philosophy that led to the Not Too Young to Run bill that Tony Nwulu, Samson Itodo, and others pursued. So I think that I tell people who care to listen that I'm just a humble question mark on our collective conscience. I am the boy next door who believes that we can make our country great again. And that's why I'm together with Peter Gregory in this march to take back our country for good.
Okay, Prof. Hello, Prof.
The floor is yours.
I can hear you.
Prof.
Yeah.
I can hear you, sir.
Let me thank you so much. Let me thank you so very much. Let me thank you so very much. You have spoken so homogeneously, and very, very unmistakable. I
Thank you,
want to
sir.
thank you so very much for that patience. I asked for a bread and a piece of bread, and you were giving me a bakery.
Thank you. That's what you get from Grace always. You get that from me always. Don't worry.
Okay, let me ask my question because time does not seem to be on our side. Like I said before, and like I said, in my initial comment, I said I have two questions for you. I'll make it very quickly. The first one, I want you to just tell us, would you say Nigeria is an egalitarian state or a despotic state? Yeah, totalitarian is a usual breakfast on the table. Thank you, Prof.
Prof, you got that?
Okay, go on, Chris.
I don't know whether you get that. He said the issue of, this.
Can I repeat? Can I repeat?
Yeah,
Can I repeat?
Repeat that, yes.
Yeah, I think I brought him actually.
Okay.
I said,
yes.
Would you say Nigeria is an egalitarian state or a despotic state where totalitarianism is a usual breakfast on our table? Thank you.
Okay.
I got him clearly, and I'll answer this in uncertain terms. As it stands today, the Nigerian state is despotic. As it stands today, totalitarianism is not only the breakfast, it's the meal dished by the high and mighty on our corporate dinner table. Everything about leadership in this country is impious, impish, and wicked. We have the worst species of political operators in the world today. Men who loot resources that they do not need in 10 lifetimes.
Thank you.
Remember what former President Obasanjo said about his former deputy, that he stole so much that he can feed 300 million people for 300 years. That's the level of larceny. That's how impious they are. And then you are aware of the monumental, albeit primitive acquisition of the man who superintended Lagos for about 8 years, and how, if you were to value his assets, you will cry. And they think that it is business as usual. That's why I said I'll answer this question in phases. And then the reason we have the sweltering harmattan of discontent leading into what I call a peaceful ballot-based revolution in this.
Okay. For those of you, I think the system is just freezing. You can understand the network lifestyle in Nigeria. I'm gonna take up the screen. Professor will be with us shortly. For those of you just joining us, it's Professor Chris MUSTAPHA NWAOKOBIA Jr. Is with us on this beautiful town hall meetings. Questions are coming in left and right, and right now his camera is frozen, so I'm going to just take on the stage for a few seconds. Yes, he will soon be with us. I think he's here now. Prof, are you all right, Prof?
Yeah, I'm saying that I think it was network. I'm saying that together with Peter Gregory, we shall banish despotism and totalitarian watch over our country. We shall have a leader who truly cares about the masses of our people, who believes indeed that our country can get better, and who believes that our country will and can be the pride of the black man.
Thank you, sir. And that is a very important thing, because you end it in I always say to black people around the world, if Nigeria failed, then the black race has failed. And it's very important for those lawmakers, those of them who are there, to take note of that the destiny of very many people is what they toy with. You know, the image of the black man is in Nigeria. Nelson Mandela said it all, that the failure of Nigeria is a failure to the black race. And that's a dangerous one. And so I think perhaps we need to sink this again and again into them. And Prof, surprisingly, you said something that I don't think we have time to dwell on tonight, when you said that your religion
Let me just come in.
Are you there, Solomon? You have another question?
Yes, like I said before,
Okay.
my ab initio position is still reiterated, please. Prof, you have done so well to have addressed that question, though you were a bit superficial this time around. You promised you were going to touch all the bases, but I'm sure it's because of this network and time that was what truncated the whole thing.
Yes.
That notwithstanding, Prof, I want to put it to you that now with all those convincing comments you have made about the Nigerian state, is Nigeria therefore too heterogeneous or shenanigans for one man to rule? If so, would you advocate the fragmentation of the Nigerian state? Because I see you were talking about that Nigeria is this, Nigeria is that. I don't want to borrow those language because there's no time at the moment. So would you say so? And very lastly, before I let go of you, Prof, you mentioned the laudable manifestation of PRB. No problems at all. It is what I have also seen the paper copy, which a colleague of ours sent to me, to our chambers. But there is something that is conspicuously absent. The issue of education in its manifesto is not properly and sufficiently addressed. It is highly superficial. So if there is any way you can perhaps put this message across to those who are in charge of the manifesto to make a rethink, a recast of the education part of it, because not too much is said about the education at all. I hope this does not translate to the fact that the university lecturers and other teachers that have been on strike, the education system that has been down for the past close to approximately a year now, is something that should not be left unabated. So I want you to just look at this, Prof. Thank you so very much. Thank you, and bye from me.
God bless you. Let me say clearly that if there is any governor who believes in the primacy of education, it's Peter Obi. Remember that whilst he was governor of Anambra State, he took Anambra State from number 26 in performance in WAEC to number 1. And then also remember that before he became governor, the ratio of male education as opposed to female education in Anambra was about 80 to 20. Before he left, young boys decided to pursue education as a matter of passion, and he was able to cover that gap. What am I trying to say? That he understands, and he said that several times today, that an uneducated nation will remain in darkness, and that the only way to solve the Nigerian problem is to put primacy on education, vocational education, and the likes. And then let me give you another important information before I come to the issue about our unity, perhaps a possible fragmentation of our country. Let me say clearly that he was the one who began the culture of a few state universities not joining ASU strike. And ASU understands that because he makes provision for, as a visitor of the university, he makes provision for the state university. The state university had to formally apply to ASU to tell ASU that they are not being owed salaries, they're given monies for research, P2B provides all that they need, and that it will be unfair to be on strike in a state where the state governor provides all that they need. And so all through the striking period, Anambra State University, none of the Anambra higher institutions were on strike. And that culture has remained until today because he laid the foundation for that. Now, interestingly, I will also talk with him and the think tank about how we deepen on the working document that I call the manifesto regarding or in the area of education. But let me say that what Nigeria needs is not fragmentation. What Nigeria needs, like our manifesto has clearly stated, is a rework of the legal framework. We need what we call true federalism. We must have a government that is responsible and responsive to the people. We must have leadership at the local government level. This culture where you have a nation that takes ownership of resources from Abuja, resources across our country, where the federal government is responsible for purchase of newspapers for federal government colleges across the country, including the one in my home state of Ibuzo, is cumbersome. You cannot succeed when the federal government is in charge of just about everything. We must have a truly federal structure where every component part of our country is not only responsible for what it owns, but responsible such that what obtains like what we had in the First Republic, the state, local governments are able to manage their resources, pay 30% to the federal government and 20% into a dedicated account for emergency. That was the only way our First Republic saw boisterous development. And what we need in this country is to return this country to a truly federal structure where more than ever before, our component parts will be able to grow competitively, and where the ones that are poor, perhaps, will be supported by the others. And let me, for the purposes of our listeners here, refer you, you can Google my lecture on this very important subject. I delivered a lecture a few years ago, and it went viral. You can check it, you know, between restructuring and disintegration, you know, between secession, restructuring, and the in-betweens. If you Google my name, you will see that piece is a...
Okay. For some reason, the network is not really friendly tonight. I don't know why. But for those of you just joining us, we are still live with Professor Chris MUSTAPHA NWAOKOBIA. I have a very interesting question for him. It's not going away. I know he will be back shortly. Once his network gets back, I'm bringing him back on the platform. And for those of you who are joining us, if you type in your question onto the group, I'll put it across. And don't forget, this is a message going to the whole world and the OB movement. So they will have the opportunity to read your message as well and take it on board. And I want to thank that Mr. Otutu, or is it Mr. Otutu? Sorry, I don't know your sex. But right now, I'm really enjoying your questions, and please keep it up. For those of you who want to have questions, the time is quite short. You can call in. The number is +44 7459 071747. It's actually scrolling on the screen, I assume. If not, then that's a very disservice to this broadcast. I'll try to get that on board so that can be strolling. So I'm still watching. I think Professor Chris is back. He's back on the. Are you back, sir?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, good. So yes, like we're saying, we're here. We're answering the questions as difficult as they're not too difficult for you. But you were talking about the lecture you gave on disintegration,
restructuring, and the in-betweens.
Yes. See,
if you visit Google, you'll see the lecture.
Very important for me, Prof, is this the OB movement. It's a very sensitive question, and I want it to be answered so that to clear my doubts. Are people fighting to have Peter Obi because it's the turn of the Igbos? That is, are we looking for equity? That's number one. And number two, because sometimes I see Christians coming out, oh, we must vote for your own. Is this a Christian Muslim thing? Or we have been opportune to have the right candidate, like the time we have Abiola, who fought and won a successful election, because Peter is more than a Christian thing. It's more than a Muslim thing. It's more than the Igbo thing. This man is speaking the minds of all Nigerians. And I don't know whether for those of us, because those of us who are here, that is the only thing that could draw us back. And I'm not saying even the Igbos are not doing it, but the Christians are actually doing it. You understand? When I see them in the church say, oh, you must vote for your own. You must work for God this time. And I wonder, is God not with the Muslims? These are things that, and when you talk about people asking for cessation and all that, this speaks to my mind here.
But Chris, let me answer this question with first quoting the candidate himself. He's the only candidate who's come out to say, do not vote for me because I'm Igbo. Do not vote for me because I'm Christian. He has said that on several fora. Vote for me because I love Nigeria. Vote for me because I have the competency and the capacity to attend the Nigerian situation and problems. And I want to say here that of the four leading candidates, the most pan-Nigerian of all of them is Peter Obi. I want to say without equivocation that he is the one who connects with the Igbo man as well as the Yoruba man. He's the one who connects with the Hausa man, the Jokun, the Tiv, the Fulani, and his message resonates across ethnic and religious divides. That's the truth. He's the one. Are you aware that Chris, that his campaign headquarters was donated by a Northerner? Are you aware that across the country, people have donated offices to the campaign across the country, and they are indiscriminate of ethnicity, they are indiscriminate of religion, they are indiscriminate of region. There are people who believe that the time to take back our country for good is now. And so the sweltering harmattan, like I said initially, across this country is about the need for a new day and a new deal. It's not about our Igbo-ness or Yoruba-ness. We understand that these fault lines are real, but we also have said repeatedly, and that's exactly the position of the campaign, that hunger does not care whether you're Igbo, Yoruba, or Hausa. That unemployment does not care about this narrative. That what truly Nigeria needs is a country that works for the good of all. And that's exactly what Peter Gregory epitomizes. So his candidacy is a pan-Nigerian candidacy. His message is pan-Nigerian, and he belongs to every Nigerian. He belongs to the Igbo man as well as he does the Yoruba man, as well as he does the Hausa man, the TV man, the Chekiri man, the Robo man, and the likes.
And so maybe that message should also go to the Christians, because if you see these churches, they are the ones taking money from the people. They have nothing to show for it, and they are the same coming and say, "Oh, we are supporting Peter because Peter is a Christian," and that just destroyed the narrative. You know, it irritates people like us because we want a country where Peter, because Peter represents more than Christianity.
We're dealing with that. We're talking with church leaders because, okay, I am the director of public affairs and strategic communications of a big tent, the independent campaign organization of Peter Gregory. I'm a member of the Presidential Campaign Council. I'm a member of the Diaspora Directorate of the campaign. And so I know exactly what we are saying. And what we've been telling church leaders is to allow the candidate speak to the issues. It's not about his religion. It is not about his Christianness. I am not a Christian. I'm not a Muslim. My religion is love. And
I like that.
Like Jega told me once, Jega said that if I'm the founder of that religion, he's the first devotee of the religion called love. And I said to him, I'm not.
Thank you.
My mentor, I'm not the founder. It's as old, like Gandhi would say, it's as old as the Himalaya. It's as old as humankind. Love is the commandment of faith and the commandment of the truth. So those who are trying to polarize Nigerians on account of religion, in the place where Peter Gregory is, have failed, because Peter Gregory believes that Kemi is as good a child of God as Chinenye, that Peter is as good as a child of God as Musa, and that he believes that his responsibility when he becomes the Commander-in-Chief of the Federal Republic of Nigeria will be to protect the Christian as well as the Muslim, to protect the enemies as well as to protect the traditional worshiper. So for us, religion is not on the table.
Wonderful. So and that brings me to, I'm going to say this and keep quiet a little bit, because I have one or two other questions from you because we're almost running out of time. My next question is, how can we in the diaspora contribute to this campaign? We contribute in many ways. Sometimes we get to put our mouth where our money is. You know, it is campaign because we don't know. Because and that's one thing I want to say here, that you have your say on it. There's money going to be needed for this campaign to be successful, because I know those money bags, they have it ready, they're going to throw it. And sometimes maybe it's right to meet them where they are and say, hey, we're ready as well. You know, so how do we in the diaspora, in our small ways, contribute to this campaign? It might not be big, but when you add 1 or 2 together, it becomes big. And how do we do that? How do we join the campaign? I know a lot of people will want to. This is what I said, Prof. I said Nigerians will go to church every Sunday. The pastor speak to us, and when we are happy, we put our money and we make offering. Now Peter is telling us something that can save us. This is not, we're not waiting for God. You don't see. You understand? God is there, but God is using Peter to speak to us. We want to contribute to this. How do we do that? Where do we go to that church, like a religion of love? Where do we go to this religion of Peter and make our offering? That's it.
Interestingly, I will forward to you, for the purposes of your the listeners and those who want to be part of this, I will forward to you coordinates from the campaign. I'll forward to you on WhatsApp. Maybe you could put it on your platforms. That those who truly, because it's about putting your your money where your mouth is. No great leader has funded a campaign single-handedly. And interestingly, my principal, the best presidential candidate on our space today, is saying that he counts on the support of, and then let me say this, Chris, the greatest support that we've been having in this campaign has been coming from Nigerians in the diaspora.
Wonderful.
Igbos, Yorubas, Hausas, Nigerians are passionately nudging and pushing this campaign. And so I will forward the details to you, and then you will see how you can assess. Aisha Yusufu is one of those who is managing some of the support. She was with us at the Youth Dialogue today. There are several other people who are with us in this movement to take back our country for good. Because Peter has said clearly, Peter Obi has said clearly that if he were to fund all this from his personal resources, then the challenge of taking some of the resources from our country to himself would be high. You know, and it was Lim Kuan Yew who said that the nation must take responsibility for whatever it does with leaders. You know, so what we have today on our hands is a leader who is saying to Nigerians, come, let us get the job done together. So we believe that the support of Nigerians in the diaspora is very important. Nigerians at home are supporting. So I do sincerely think that this question is apt. Come along, brothers and sisters. Let's fix our country. Let's make our country great again. Let's take back our country.
It's very
using
important. Peter is working for us. That's how it is. He's fixing a home. We want to go back home and have a home. There's a place called home. And without a home, we lost. We lost. And that sense of identity, there's a lot to tap in from Nigeria. Even those of us in the diaspora, we want to do business back home. We want to bring some things from that's when we have our respect here. When we can have a country where we can contribute to the society here, because we're blessed. And if it's only when we can say, oh, let us go and do this at home, that's when we take advantage of our opportunity in the diaspora. So and it's very important that this movement is not for Peter Obi, it's our movement, and that's why I think we should all contribute as well. I'm going to give only one person a chance to say something on the platform, and who is that person? Just signify yourself, and I'll give you a chance to speak. Is that the Isakwere? Are you the one to ask questions? Who is the person?
Yes, please. Yeah. What?
Okay, two of them. I'm going to give Isakwere first, and then I'm going to let Rufus. So quickly, sir, go
on. Very good, Domingo. Thank you, Professor, for always been saying. You've spoken very well, but I have just 2 questions to ask, please. Because what is happening in Nigeria is a common trend in Nigerian politics. Let me put it that way. It's a common trend in Nigerian politics because we see Peter Obi going to this former presidents, governors and present governors. He's trying to align with them. He's trying to align with them to win their state, to gain popularity in their state, and to win the vote from their state, which is going to wait and other governors. If he wins, which I know that they are going to agree with, if he wins, because those people are going to bring their own people to become ministers, to become different secretaries and stuff like that. Peter Obi, would Peter Obi be let me put it like, would it be straightforward to tell them that this position is not being divided because of favoritism or any other thing? Or is he going to appoint ministers, his own ministers that are competent enough to do the job? Not ministers or not people that have been brought in by this former president or governors into power. Then the next question, my second question is that talking about the industry, like the oil industry, the refineries we have in the Niger Delta, Warri Refinery, Port Harcourt Refinery, and Calabar Refinery. We know these refineries, they are not working. They've been done for decades now. They are not working to full capacity. And the federal government has allocated so much money since 1999, millions upon billions of dollars into revamping these refineries. But they are still not functioning, or maybe they're not functioning to full capacity. Don't you think it would be the best interest for Nigeria to privatize this refinery so that this refinery can be working again in full capacity? Why I say privatization? Why the privatization is that, look at Dangote, for instance. Dangote company is working perfectly well because it's a private sector, not a government sector. Don't you think for us to revive those refineries, it should go to the private sector that can handle this refinery very well for the good of Nigeria, just like its opponent, it's tweeting every day. Former President Atiku Abubakar of the PDP. Don't you think it's the way forward to privatize this refinery? What is your take on it, please?
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Let me say that my brother who just asked this question shows how informed he is about the need to move our country away from poverty to promise. I totally agree that there is need to reshape and rework government involvement in business. Peter Gregory has said that in the manifesto, that there will be a massive legal overhaul, rework of our laws to ensure that beyond everything we move in terms of progressive growth with other countries and live true to the challenges of the fourth industrial revolution. And this is exactly where we are. Peter understands that reality. He has always told the people that he's a trader, so he understands what it is to grow wealth. I think that nobody's in doubt as to the fact that rather than sinking more monies in turning around the old refineries, you have to work in tandem with the private sector to make the oil sector boisterous and to grow. That's why the petroleum industry bill was signed into law by the present president. But let me say, regarding issues about consulting, that was the first leg of his question, consulting former heads of states and those who superintended over our country before. You cannot get to power walking alone. You're not necessarily, don't forget that one of the challenges and the reason why one of the individuals who is very popular in the Southeast said he wasn't going to support his candidacy was because he refused to put certain conditionalities on papers. He wanted him to make commitments to him, and he said, no, I have too much problems in Nigeria to begin to Kuri godfathers and ask people to support me with funds so that at the end of the day, when I win, I will have to be loyal to them. No, I want to be completely loyal to the Nigerian people. And that is why this movement is organic. That is why he's saying that much as I respect the Obasanjos of this world, the IBBs of this world, the Absalom Abubakars of this world, the Yakubu Gowans of this world, I defer to them because they've been at the level of leadership before now, and they understand the challenges of the Nigerian state. But I will work with the best heads, eggheads, professionals at home and in diaspora to fix Nigeria. All I do know is that they have some supporters. I want their supporters to vote me because I'm interested in serving Nigeria. And so the consultations have not been with any kind of godfather, godson coloration. It's not been with any kind of documents being signed by anybody so that when he becomes president, he will give so and so number of ministers to this person and so number of DGs to this person. No. Peter Gregory is clear-headed about the way to fix the challenges of our nation. So he understands the fact that along with the private sector, it's only along with the private sector that we can create wealth. He has consistently said that he will cut down the cost of governance. He has not only also said that he will be frugal. He will ensure that there's no wastage. And if you and I understand what the NNPC and the refineries have been over the past 15 years, you will know that they've been conduit pipes for monumental wastage. And so Peter is clearly saying that we are going to change the way we do business. Government is going to be more responsible with the way policies that will help grow our economy is formulated. And rather than run business, government will regulate business and ensure that the atmosphere, the business environment is good for healthy competition and growth. And that's exactly what he's going to do. He's going to be like the driver who's saying, the man who can perform best in the oil sector, this is your territory. This is the law that enables you to do that. Go and succeed. The man who is in the medical field, this is the law. This is your territory. Go and succeed. Because it's only when we succeed in all these sectors that our nation can indeed be said to be prosperous and rich.
Thank you, sir. In fact, I think we've done it. Professor, we cannot thank you enough. I'm just going to bring in one more questions and we can take a little bit of a rest tonight. Rufus, are you there? Quick and direct. Thank you.
Yeah, Daddy Chris, God bless you. May God bless you. God bless you so much for the bringing. God bless you for that. God bless you for your handwork. And I also thank the professor that you brought today. And there's something I want you to expatiate on in respect of the Constitution. I heard you talk about the Nigerian system that was front-led. If Peter Obi is voted to power, how is it going to resolve the issue of the Constitution? Because the Constitution of Nigeria is a front-end one, of which I believe everybody knows. Because the reason why I'm saying that is Obasanjo operated at the same Constitution. Goodluck Jonathan operated on that Constitution. Buhari operated on that Constitution. They couldn't change the Constitution. How is Peter Obi is going to change that Constitution that was not changed by a 3 powerful head of state, 2 military head of state couldn't change the Constitution? So how is Peter Obi be able to do that? How is he going to be able to do that? And there are so many people that are
okay. I think we heard you loud and clear.
Yeah, how is going to be able to change that?
Okay, I think we heard you loud and clear. The question is how can Peter make the changes?
I got the question, Dr. Chris. Let me say clearly that in saying that we believe in overhauling the legal framework, Peter Obi is not just going to come to say, oh, everything about the Constitution from page 1 to the last page is going to be changed. What he's saying is that we're going to work with the National Assembly to ensuring that the sizable aspects of our laws that does not help for growth and progress are reworked. and those parts of our laws that does not help for national unity is reworked. Because the truth is that his government would derive power, flawed as it were, from that same constitution. But you can also admit that there have been a lot of changes in that constitution since 1999. What I can say is that if at the end of the day, when he becomes the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the National Assembly says, because there are three things he can do. He can come with an amalgam of different provisions and says, okay, to the National Assembly, let us agree through the instrumentality of legislation to make the new law unto ourselves. That's one. He can also, like some people are suggesting, take part of the Independence Constitution and 1963 Constitution that allowed for true federalism. He can come with that to the National Assembly and they take part of that and amend the Constitution wholesale. He can actually also come by way of executive bill. But what is necessary at this point is that we have a leader who, when he becomes president, can live true to his promises. The reason most of us are saying that we cannot trust the PDP or the APC is because they made promises about, particularly the APC in 2014. They told us that they were going to restructure the Nigerian Nigerian state along the lines of two fiscal federalism. They were going to devolve power to the constituent regions. Nothing came of that. The PDP tried a bit here and there, but what we're saying is that the time has come, and that's what Peter has completely said, that when he becomes the president of the Federation, the Federal Republic of Nigeria, he would sit down with the leadership of the National Assembly to look at the laws, how the law hampers unity, how the law hampers growth and progress, and they will fix this. That's the rework of our legal framework to ensure that we are successful again.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Well, if you guys let me, we have Professor here for more than 1 hour, 40 minutes. Prof, thank you so much for joining us tonight. You're always a blessing.
God bless you. God bless you, Daddy Chris.
Looking forward to that information where I can pass it on to people on how.
I will. I'll send it across to you, and then I'll send the numbers of the DGs of the campaign to you because you're doing a great job. Together we can fix our country.
So we can put some resources together from here. Those of us who want change, we have to contribute to the change. For change to come, nothing comes free. If anything that's coming free, then you know it's not going to be good for the stomach. So we need to contribute to what is going to feed us, and that's what we are happy to do. And we are in the position to do that. If we send money every day to Africa and we cannot contribute to the campaign, because if Nigeria is good, then we don't need to be sending money every day. You know, we have a home. So let us invest right now, and that will be my campaign. I'll join that. I will put my mouth loud and clear in putting that across to the people I have. And Prof, like I said, you're always a blessing. Thanks for coming. We want to have you again before the election. We want to have you back before the election to tell us how you're progressing. And if there's anything, please do call on us. And like I said, it's a blessing to have you. Thank you so much for coming, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the end of this.
God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. So yes, so that is Professor Chris MUSTAPHA NWAOKOBIA Jr. You know, just in case if you hear where that name comes from, Mustapha, and this is the Chris I know. His religion is love, and perhaps it's time for Nigerians to begin to think in the right direction. Christianity is good. Islam is good. They're all preaching love. So why don't you make them preach love? Well, tonight is about Peter Obi campaign, and I think you heard enough from Chris. If you have any question, do not hesitate to put it across. I will pass it on to them. And if you have any suggestion, they are ready to learn. Peter is saying that he's not going to do it alone. He's going to listen and work with everybody. He needs the intellectuals, everyone, to push the country to where it is. On that note, I want to say thank you for joining us tonight. And I'll be here again on another town hall meeting very soon, you will be told. And I think we're going somewhere. If Nigeria can follow this path I call it the path of righteousness. This call for change. It's not the normal change you hear of. This is a change a man that have done it before. Maybe because I support Peter Obi, forgive me. Hey, I'm here on the platform. I'm presenting for SRTV tonight, and my name is Daddy Chris. Let's enjoy this.
SRTV. Innovative content, global audience.